right. Good weekend, all. Good weekend, Jefferson. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing just fine. It's a nice weekend. The weather is not too bad. It was a little rainy yesterday. It was
Yeah,
kind of a
I know
bad half
because
day yesterday.
I was in Florida seeing my father um, Friday and Saturday. So I drove down Friday and then came back yesterday.
That's about a
And
good
yeah,
8 hour or so drive from where you are, isn't it?
yeah, without stops, I think it's 7.5, 7.5 without stops.
Okay.
Now, if it's just me, my stops are minimal. I'm pulling the Mario Andretti pit stop, and but with Crystal, she wants to stop and she wants to sit down for lunch, and so
No, I want to keep going. When I'm traveling, I just want to go try to have minimal stops. And it was funny talking about making stops. So when I came down in January for the principal photography wrap for
right.
Axanar, so I driving down, I just stopped some random exit to get gas at a speedway. I like going there because I get the points. And that was on the way down. On the way back, I stopped at an exit to do the same thing. And I'm driving on the exit and I'm thinking, this looks kind of familiar. Where have I seen this? It was the same spot, the same exit, same place. Hadn't even planned it that way.
That's funny.
It was just completely coincidence. Like, what are the odds? So yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. We've done that. I've pulled off and go, "Where's that?" God, I wish I knew that the exit where the Publix shopping center was that we went to last trip, and yeah, you accidentally pull off and you go, "Hey, this is the exit." I guess I get hungry at the same point of every trip.
Or you get close to running out of gas at the same point of every trip.
yeah, exactly. Well, it is Cinco de Mayo. It was just pointed out to me by Daniel. So yes, happy Cinco de Mayo. Which we don't quite celebrate here in Georgia the way we did in LA. Like in LA, it's like a national holiday.
Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's so many Mexicans, in Southern California that you adopt their culture.
Yeah.
And I will say willingly, I may. As much as people, immigrants get shit on, which I think is a shame. Mexican people are just awesome. I just love Mexican people. You can't deny all the positive benefits that they've brought to our society, because we are a melting pot. This country is a melting pot, and we need to realize it. It's just like when I was growing up in New York. Growing up, listen, in the 60s and 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was Italian food and there was Chinese food, and that was it. So you got your pizza and you got your Italian food. There was Italian restaurants all over the place.
Yeah. And
there were Chinese restaurants, and everyone, next to the dry cleaner, there's those Chinese, and they were, and that was it. But I remember then I got into college and I went to my first Indian restaurant, and then we went into New York City, and there was a Pancho Villa's was the name of it, which was the one, there was like 2 Mexican restaurants in New York City. And you're like, oh, this is cool. And you appreciate it. But you growing up, everyone was something else. You were Italian, you were Polish, you were Greek, you were, Judaism's not a nationality, but you were Jewish. So you had the Jewish mothers feeding you. This is what our country is about, right? And so when I moved to Southern California, I'll never forget my first real burrito.
Mm-hmm.
At this little place called Manny's. It's a hut on the corner of I forget the road right by USC. It's the road.
A real burrito, not an Americanized burrito.
No. This was like, he's like, come on, we'll go to Manny's, we'll get a burrito. I go, okay. So I ordered my first burrito, and it is the size of my head. It is this big. It's huge. And so, but we are so. I think we are fortunate as a nation to be a melting pot, to have so many different cultures that are adding to it. And when people talk about real Americans, you know what a real American is? A real American is an immigrant.
Yeah.
Or
you're right.
Native American, but it's this blending of cultures that has made this country great. and it's the immigrants that are continue to drive our economy. The growth. There's a reason China is in population decline. But China's in like serious economic trouble, which and it's because that no one immigrates to China.
No.
People leave China. No one goes to China. And because of it, their population is shrinking. And in 2100, their population will be the same as it was back in 1960.
Really? Is it that bad?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, they've got, well, already India is the most populous country in the world, has already been China. And they're losing. Yeah, you look at their population charts and it's just downhill. So anyway, immigration is great. Getting back to Cinco de Mayo, I don't know if we're going out to the Mexican restaurant today. It is Crystal's day off, so we'll probably go to San Andreas, the Mexican restaurant, and celebrate with the margarita.
Oh, I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, you've got to celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
Oh yeah, let me tell you the last Cinco de Mayo. We went out on Cinco de Mayo. We were in the old house, so it was probably 5 years ago. And I ordered a margarita, like the big margarita. Yeah, give me the Cadillac.
Yeah.
I had one margarita, and I was like, whoa. I was like, what the? I was like, Crystal, I am so buzzed right now.
Yeah.
And I just know that we went early. We went like for 5 o'clock. So we're going right now, not at dinner. We went early, start drinking. And I literally had to walk around the shopping center just to work it up. And I know that the bartender was like, "Happy Cinco de Mayo, gringo."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just pouring it in there. Nice healthy pour.
Fuck up this gringo, and he did. So anyway, Cinco de Mayo, everyone go out, go to your local Mexican restaurant, celebrate. I guess that's Mexican Independence Day. Is it past?
Yeah. We, my fiance and I went to a Mexican restaurant yesterday and had some really good food. And I said, yeah, we might do something like that today, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty busy. And got a burrito. I was only able to eat a little bit of that, but very good food. And of course, my son ate my leftovers. So it's like, yeah, how was it? He said, yeah, it was really good. I said, oh yeah, it must be nice. That's great. But I'm glad that we have a lot of different cultures, especially when it comes to the food. Like I like trying to expand some of the things that I'll go for, that I'll eat. And Mexican is really good. I know Chipotle is my favorite, and I know they say, well, that's not Mexican food, but
it's American fast food.
Right. Yeah. It's American fast food, but that's
but guacamole is Mexican, so they're
yeah, it always is.
And pico de gallo, they got the good trappings of Mexican food. I literally haven't eaten Indian food in 40 years, so I kind of am determined. Like, okay, there's a well-known Indian restaurant here in Atlanta, and I'm like, we're gonna have to go and I'm not a spicy food fan, and
right.
I'm not, but I want to give it a shot again.
Yeah, you should. Indian food's pretty good. There's a place that's not far from where I live that has this. I haven't been there in a while, but they have this lunch buffet, and that was really good because I think those are a good opportunity to try different things. Now, I know buffets are bad for you because you can tend to overeat, but it's like you try a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and see what you like. But
they always make money on me at a buffet because that's the way I am. I'm like, I don't see a buffet as I'm going to pig out. It's like, oh, I'm going to try a little of this and try a little of that, and but still, they make
little samples.
Yeah. So, well, I hope everyone's doing well. We got Luis here from Sao Paulo. Is that Sao Paulo? Is that where you are? The Santo?
I think so. Probably Sao Paulo.
Yeah, the SB Sao Paulo, which I was just listening. So, Luis, I was just listening to a podcast all about Ayrton Senna, the legendary Brazilian race car driver, because it's the 30th anniversary of his death. Believe it or not, I can't believe it's been 30 years. And he's from Sao Paulo. They were talking about, Peter Attia was talking about visiting Sao Paulo, and it's like one of the biggest cities in the world. it's like something like 25 million people. And,
Yeah.
And it's just insane. It's like he was saying, like you go up in the hotel, they stay out, they go up to the top of the hotel, which is where the gym is, and they can see 360. And he says, you can't see the end of the city. He says, you're 30 stories up and you look, and it's just goes on forever. But Luis, one of the players I coached when I coached at USC was from Belo Horizonte. So, and I visited Rio when I was a boy in 75. And I had the pleasure of having Montezuma's Revenge. So I did not see a lot of it, but we did get out finally and took the tram.
I heard that's a bad one.
Yeah, it was not good. But we took the tram up to the Sugarloaf, and we went to the top of Corcovado and did all those things. So
I just looked up real quick. Sao Paulo is the 4th largest city in the world. Population. This on Wikipedia. UN 2018 population estimate, they had it at 21.6 million at the time of this.
What's the largest city in the world?
Largest, according to this, is Tokyo at 37.46, so almost 37.5 million. Yes, in Tokyo. With
we're right, and right now our guy in Japan is talking to one of the Japanese comic conventions about bringing us over. So I love Japan. Love it. Been there. I don't know how many times have I been to Japan? 3-4 times.
Really? So what would that look like being over at Japan for a convention?
Yeah, I was in Japan first in 1990.
Okay.
With the U.S. national, when I was coaching with the USA volleyball team, and we played there before we went to China for the World Championships. And then I think I'm trying to think if we had a second visit there, but I also was a sports agent, so I represented the captain of the U.S. Olympic team, and I was the first agent ever to negotiate a deal for an American volleyball player in the Japanese pro leagues.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I've been to Japan. I love it. I love Japan. It's an amazing place. So we'll see about that. That would be really exciting.
That's a place I've always wanted to visit, is going to Japan. It sounds really nice. There was a coworker of mine that had taken a trip to Tokyo, and it sounded like it was a really nice place. So hopefully the thing doing the convention out in Japan would work out, because that sounds like that'd be a hell of a trip.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll keep everyone posted. Meanwhile, the process has started for VFX for Axanar. I got the first shot back.
Oh yeah, how is it?
Yeah, we're happy.
Oh, good.
We're happy. We have 2 different VFX companies working on the project. Well, actually 3 if I include the compositing aspect. There's 3, and it's the first ship shots are great, and the process is great. Very happy with the process. So it's getting there, and we're moving along.
Do you know roughly about how many VFX shots that there are needed to be done? That's probably a real tough one. I mean,
because we have a spreadsheet. The question is, what is the number? I've got here. I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
Because I've got it. It's all on our Google Drive, and it's all on a spreadsheet. Let's see, Axanar.
But the first one's looking positive, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, it's good. Let's see, March transfer to do. Okay, here's the shot list, and that is not it. I want to say it's 60 something.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the number's around 60 something.
Gotcha.
I have an old list here. VFX. It's on VFX. Here's No. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go. So, obviously we have a bunch in the can already.
So there are some VFX, can't say it, shots that have already been completed, or was this one the first
some
one?
of the
Oh,
shots
okay.
we're using some of the shots that were made for Axanar feature film.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so we're right around 50 VFX shots.
Gotcha.
Is where we are.
And it's divided up between the three VFX companies?
No, there's two VFX companies.
Okay.
One VFX company is just working on compositing.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You said compositing.
The other two have divided the labor, and the way they've divided it is workflow wise. It's not divided like you do these shots, you do these shots.
Okay.
It's divided. You do this part of the process, you do this part of the process, which gives us a better. It's leveraging the expertise of each of the VFX companies, and it's just creating a better process because the guys who do the conceptual side of it, the previs, they're doing that, and then the guys who are doing the finishing are doing it. So it's a great process. We're pretty excited about it. Let's see, we got some questions here.
Yeah.
Let's see, Lori Dex CC. No, that we've been trying to shoot for San Diego Comic-Con or Star Trek Las Vegas, but I honestly, with the volume of work that we've got, I just don't see it happen. We now have an opportunity to waiting here to do a premiere at a film festival in LA in the fall, and that would be a big deal. So we might well be doing that. It's hard to tell you right now, so I don't know. But it is this year. It's coming out this year, so it might be late summer, it might be early fall. It's somewhere in that time frame.
Subscribe to the newsletter.
Subscribe to the newsletter. Yeah, here I'll make sure you guys. Oh.
And I'm hoping for, even if it delays it a couple months, to have it at the that film festival. I think that would be great to do that film festival out in. You said it was in LA, right?
Yeah. Question to Alec: could you go anywhere in Japan, or where you told that someplace? No place is off. I mean, I don't know if you're talking about back when I was coaching with the national team. No, it was just where our tour was. We toured Japan with the Japanese national team, and we played in 4 or 5 cities. I don't remember how many it was. Well, it's canon if you want it to be.
Right. Anything can be canon if you try hard enough.
That's right. Oh, it was yesterday? I didn't know yesterday was Free Comic Book Day.
Oh, it was?
No.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure if you stop by your comic book shop today, they'll still have free comics.
I did not know that, because we do have a comic book shop that's a couple towns over from about a 20-minute or so drive. And there's not a lot of comic book shops like there were. I mean, there are some, but I remember when I was younger, and this was in the 90s, of course, seemed like there were comic book stores all over the place, and would visit all of those, getting Star Trek comics, Batman, Superman, and all of that stuff, which some of those are hard to keep up with. There are a lot of comics out there. So being a comic collector, that can get pretty pricey pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's Scott. Good. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Yeah, so yesterday was May 4th. So it's a busy month, isn't it?
You got May the 4th, then Cinco de Mayo, then tomorrow's Revenge of the Six.
Gosh, yeah.
So there's a lot going on. That's for sure. There's this really cool post I saw just kind of scrolling through Facebook. I think it was from Instagram. Will Wheaton and Mark Hamill, which that was pretty cool. And of course, William Shatner always has his comedic May the 4th, Happy May the 4th thing that he does. So yeah, it's always a good day. So I like seeing that. I like seeing that there is a good camaraderie between Star Trek and Star Wars, because we can get along as franchises. It's not
Oh
like,
yeah.
I always get asked, what do you like more, Star Trek or Star Wars? And I always just respond with, well, they're different. They're very different. It's kind of like asking me, do you like an apple or do you like an orange? Yeah, I like both.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars and Star Trek is not like, do you like a green apple or red apple? It's not that much of a comparison, because they're just, you've got science fiction, which is Star Trek, and science fantasy, which is Star Wars. They're just two
Right.
very different things.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And you get different you get different feelings from both of them. They strike you different emotionally. I mean, I can watch something like I can watch Star Trek, but I'll never get maybe the emotional resonance I'll get with certain aspects of Star Wars. And Star Wars and Star Trek, of course, certainly is focusing on the Federation, the Starfleet, and the values of the Federation, and it's kind of in the Star Trek universe, you're starting on the side of light. On the Star Wars universe, you're starting on the side of darkness. The universe is fracked up in Star Wars. So Star Wars is a tale of resistance, and Star Trek is a tale of success. So
I never thought of it that way, and you're right.
Yeah, it's just, and again, so they're different, and you get different journeys through each, right?
Right.
And, so I appreciate them both. I just, there are days you want to turn on Deep Space Nine, and there's days I want to turn on Rogue One. I watched Rogue One again last week. It was on. I was just like, oh, Rogue One, let me watch it again. And I just freaking love that movie.
It was a very good movie.
Oh God!
I think as a movie that takes place before something you've seen, where the outcome, I think one of the big credits I'll give to Rogue One is that the suspense of the scene where Darth Vader shows up on that ship, and he's in the end of the hallway. And it was funny. There was this was pointed out. This post I read a while back was that so Vader turned off his ability to breathe, his breathing apparatus, his suit, just to be a drama queen, because it was complete darkness. You did not see his light up stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, you know what? You're right. That's very dramatic for him to turn off all his, stuff. But the thing was that scene, I think is a real testament to the writing of that movie, that you thought for a second, are they going to make it? Are they going to get the Death Star plans away? But obviously they do. But to sit there for a moment and actually trigger that thought, that little bit of doubt, that, what, I don't know if they're going to make it. That is very good suspense. And I think it's not easy for a prequel to do something like that, to know that what's going to happen, the outcome, but for a moment you still kind of doubt whether that's going to happen. And I thought that was great storytelling there, and it makes the opening of A New Hope a little different when Vader is on the ship, catches up with it, and Leia tries to tell him, we're on a diplomatic mission Alderaan, and Vader, imagine, bullshit. I just saw you guys fly out of here. I cut down some of your. Yeah, don't give me that shit. You're part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Get her the hell out of here.
Yeah. No, good. Yeah, good point.
I just watched you escape. Don't give me that shit.
Yeah. No, I love Rogue One. I just, oh God, I just love that movie so much. I think it's just so brilliantly done. If I was that director, I'd be like, that's it. I'm done. I'm walking away. Because that. And so when you see, and also here's the other thing, you see Rogue One or even Solo, and you go, both of those movies, I mean, even Solo is better than any of the 3 sequels.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mind the sequels. You know, I thought Solo was a little bit on the weak side, but I didn't mind the sequels. But then I'm kind of I'm a consummate positivist, if that's even a word. Like it, a lot of people may dislike the sequels. It takes me a lot to dislike something.
Yeah.
Like Lower Decks, it took a lot to get me to dislike something Star Trek, and Lower Decks was able to accomplish that. But I think the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, I know it gets a lot of heat, and apparently, and those in the audience could probably tell me if I'm wrong, but the original plan for the sequel trilogy was that it was going to be a cohesive 3-part story. Each episode would have a different director, but for episode 8, Rise of Skywalker, no, I'm sorry, The Last Jedi, was it Rian Johnson was the director, that he pretty much like just kind of came in and screwed the pooch on the whole plan. Like it sort of did his own thing. So that's why you have episode 7 and 8 kind of goes this way, and then 9 course corrects. They had to bring back J.J. Abrams for episode 9. That was not the original plan. J.J. Abrams was going to do 7, then Rian Johnson 8, and I don't know who was supposed to do 9. But because he went and did that's why the trilogy seems kind of disjointed that way. Am I wrong? Absolutely. I could have swore I've
no,
read
that's
that.
right. I think originally, I could be wrong, Josh Trank was supposed to do the third.
Okay. That sounds
familiar.
That
whole plan by Kathy Kennedy was just screwed from the beginning. And what you needed was, listen, I know you bought it from George Lucas, but I would have sat down with George Lucas and say, okay, what's your vision for the 3 sequels? What was your vision?
I think he talked to them about that, and they just kind of, George, goodbye. We bought this from you, you know.
Yeah, and that was just
take a vacation.
And that's just the arrogance. That's always the arrogance of the new owners of something. Yeah. Is that they think they know better, when you didn't. You don't know better, you know. And if you're going to give it to JJ, give JJ all 3 episodes at least, and let him build something cohesive. You know, I'm not a fan of that, because I don't think he's a great writer. I think he's a good filmmaker, but you know,
J.J. Abrams can do Star Wars. He cut his teeth with Star Trek 2009.
Yeah. Yeah, and Force Awakens is the Star Wars version of Star Trek 2009.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, I just think that you can have successful Star Wars movies, and I think both Solo and Rogue One prove that. And so listen, so the reasons, I think a reason a lot of people didn't like Solo is it's a much more personal movie.
Right.
It's not talking about the Empire and grand rebellion, and it's really about coming of age. You know, it's the maturity of Han Solo and what he's learning, and all of that stuff, right? And there's so much. It's just a smaller movie, and
I think it meant well.
And I think it's a good movie. All the problems I see with The Last Jedi, I don't see with Solo. It's like, what? No one said, oh, well, I hated this about Solo. What do you hate about it? It's a heist movie. It's about,
right.
You know, it's a heist movie. It's a big character arc for Han Solo. I don't have a problem with them recasting Han Solo, a younger version. I don't have a problem with that. I thought he was a good choice. So yeah, I don't know. Let's see some of the you had highlighted a comment.
Yeah, it was. I could re-highlight that one. It was just Daniel was saying that they should have taken heed of the counsel of George Lucas, which I'm kind of conflicted on that. You know, in a way, part of me is glad that they didn't give him a lot of time, but then another part of me wonders what was his vision of it. And
Well, I think that's, listen, ultimately, Star Wars is George Lucas's story.
sure,
Right?
yeah,
And it's in a way, it's like if someone, I brought someone in to do the sequel to these 2 episodes of Axanar, and they said, well, I'm going to do whatever I want. Well, okay, but it's my story. I mean,
right.
right? It's like, don't you want to see what I had in mind for what happens after the next 2 episodes? And I want to know what George Lucas wanted to do. I don't give a shit what J.J. Abrams wanted to do. I wanted that story, not JJ's story. All due respect, JJ.
Yeah.
Go make some other movies and I'll come see them. But I don't mean that. It doesn't matter. It's not JJ. I don't care what Martin Scorsese would do for the next 3 episodes of Star Wars. I care
Right.
about what George Lucas wanted to do. That's whose story it is, right? I think honoring that is what's important.
You raise a very interesting question there in regards to, well, what was George Lucas's story and putting value in what his would have been. I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks lately in regards to just the behind the scenes on Star Trek and the making of, and I believe that there's a general consensus that one of the good things that could have happened for Star Trek was for Gene Roddenberry to get kicked upstairs, and for his involvement to be lessened, and in that when he was no longer involved, and unfortunately with his passing, that Star Trek was then actually able to grow and to become what it is. So I think that there probably is a camp that will say that that is an example of someone whose story was in despite of itself and could get in its own way. Was that Gene became a hindrance to Star Trek. So I wonder
Yes, he did.
I wonder for Disney that did that play any part of it? Did they think of George Lucas the same as they did Gene, whereas well, George is hindering Star Wars and Gene did the same with Star Trek. So let's get those guys out of the way. Yes, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for creating this thing, but you need to be done and out of the way.
And yes, Brian, Lucas did completely sell out to Disney. That he sold the rights he sold Lucasfilm to Disney. He was done. He didn't want to make. He was burned out after the 3 prequels, and he had no interest in going on. I mean, listen, he didn't. I was just watching the Star Wars Unearthed documentary that you can find online.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our donors, Brian Volk-Weiss, and his company are the ones that they produce the Star Trek ones. They do all these different ones. Then they're wonderful documentaries. But and this one was Marsha and I forget the name, the other editor of Star Wars, that they won the editing award. And they were talking, and they basically said, look, George didn't want to direct anymore. He doesn't derive a lot of fun, and he liked creating, but he didn't want to direct. That's why he brought in Irvin Kershner, which was a great move. So I can easily see that George kind of did not want to go through the grind of 3 more movies, right? He's, I don't know, George is in his 70s now, right?
Yeah.
And so he would have been making those 3 movies in his late 60s. And, he's just like, I'm done. I don't want, I'm worth billions of dollars. I don't want to be making movies.
Right. I don't fault him for the decision.
Yeah. And now he's building his museum down in LA by USC, and it's the Lucas Museum of Narrative Arts, I think it's called. And God bless him, move on. But yeah, I think there was a trick there, and Disney just didn't navigate it well, which is a shame, because the correct move was to do something with George, as the consulting producer or whatever you want to do. I mean, I don't know if you gave me the keys and said, okay, Alec, you're going to direct the next Star Wars movie. What do you think? I go, what do I think? What does Lucas think?
Yeah.
Talk to George. Where was he going to take these characters? I mean, listen, I do remember that when he came out with Star Wars, he said he had 3 prequels and 3 sequels written. Not written, but sketched out.
Yep.
Right? And then he was like, and then when he was doing the prequels, he was like, no, I really didn't have any sequels written out. No, I remember, George. You did say you had them.
Yeah,
I remember
you did.
that. So what were they? Certainly it was a better treatment of Luke Skywalker than he got in those movies. So anyway, let's just go through some of the comments,
Sure.
you guys. Let's see. Did you do? Would you do one where Garth goes? Yeah. Listen, we've already shot a short film called Heroes that we're gonna get out, which is just about this. And I've already written a story. I've outlined a story. I've outlined a story that takes place with Kirk and Spock as they're escorting Garth back to Earth. And it deals with just that. It just deals with his loss of his memory and so on and so forth. Yeah, I'd love to do other things with this, but we'll see.
Sounds pretty interesting. That's a good question. That sounds like a good story idea.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to mine in that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, well, we were planning on doing this, and you can still see our little short there. I would dare say that now is not the time to be doing something as controversial as the Jewish space laser film. With all due respect, I mean, I'm not Jewish myself. Crystal's half Jewish. I think we're in a pretty sensitive time where we need to. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be dealt with before we're all feeling good about this, and that's not from a place of anti-Semitism. That's embracing our Jewish friends who are being unfairly targeted because of what's happening over in Israel. And remember, people who are Jewish doesn't necessarily mean they support what's happening in Israel. And I don't support. Listen, I don't have an anti-Semitic bone in my body. I don't support what's happening in Israel, and I think Netanyahu's a war criminal. He was a criminal before the war, and now you can't kill 35,000 innocent Palestinians and have any semblance of respect in the national community, and that's what's coming home to rest. I don't think now's the time to be doing something like this. Our hearts go out to all the victims of the Hamas attacks, as well as, which was about 1,000 people, as well as the 35,000 Palestinians who have been killed in the Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip. So rough time. I'm just like in Ukraine, bad things happening in Ukraine, and our goal is to be America and to help people chart a course towards their own liberty. In the issue of Palestine, there needs to be a 2-state solution. That everyone knows that, except for Netanyahu and the hardliners over there. And until we have a Palestinian state without Hamas that is safe and secure and not a threat to Israel, it's going to be bad over there. It's going to be bad. John Stewart did a great piece on this, which is, and it was all about, look, guys, we basically gerrymandered your whole region so we could get oil out of you guys. And all you had to do was keep the peace, and you couldn't even do that.
John Stewart, he is a treasure.
He is a national treasure, that guy. So anyway, there's the long answer to your question about Jewish space laser, and we'd love to revisit it eventually, because I think that there was some comedy gold there, but we want to do it in a way that's respectful to everyone, right?
Now, if you could get a cameo from Marjorie Taylor Greene, that would be a boon.
Oh, we plan to go down to her offices in Rome, Georgia, which is 2 hours away from here, and like go and hand out Jewish space laser T-shirts.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is great.
Brian, Vic got Me Too'd rightly and justly, and he was stupid enough to sue his victims. I have no sympathy on Vic Mignogna. He is a malignant narcissist who will never understand the inappropriateness of his behavior. That being said, Star Trek Continues was pretty good, but I'm not a fan of Vic Mignogna. Listen, Mark Edward Lewis and I were talking about it, and because James Cawley decided to shoot his mouth off and insult all fan filmmakers, and I
saw that. That was
inappropriate.
That was a shame. Yeah.
Inappropriate. It's like, James, shut the fuck up and run your museum. You know, you've got a license for a museum. Well, he basically was like, we're a film studio, blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. You're a museum. God bless you. You've got a great museum. Yeah. Take pride in your museum. Go have fun with, William Shatner and all those people. We don't need you insulting us, fan filmmakers. We're not interested in what you have to say. But out of that came, we were talking and was like, at the time I liked Cawley more than I like Vic. But I got to give Vic credit. He did a way better job with Star Trek Continues than Star Trek New Voyages. As much as Star Trek New Voyages blazed a trail and did some great work, Star Trek Continues was very well done. And it was all because Vic was, he was driven. And Vic did an enormous amount of work. He's a monumental asshole. And totally inappropriate with women. A total malignant narcissist, but he did a really good job with Star Trek Continues. And you give credit where credit's due, just like I've given credit to Rob Burnett, for being a good editor, or Christian Gossett for being a great comic book artist.
Right.
You give credit where credit's due. That doesn't, it doesn't mean you don't point out where you think the faults are.
I don't think it means it invalidates the work. Is that kind of what you're saying? Is the
right?
Star Trek Continues is a good series. Star Trek New Voyages is a good series.
Yeah. Listen, Mel Gibson went on an anti-Semitic rant while he was drunk. It doesn't invalidate the fact that Braveheart was a brilliant movie.
Right. Right. It doesn't mean that Lethal Weapon series is suddenly trash.
No, it's awesome. Listen, Michael Jackson was a great musician. He was probably a little inappropriate with minors. But it doesn't mean he wasn't a great musician. So we separate the work, which is also why I made a post recently about Johnny Cash, because there's a great story by Chris Christopherson about his interactions with Johnny Cash when Christopherson was trying to get into the music business and was basically a janitor at the music studio in Memphis or Nashville, wherever it was, where Cash was recording, and he would sit in to listen to Johnny Cash. And then one day the Christopherson's boss said, "You're not allowed in the recording studios with Johnny Cash."
Right.
And so Johnny Cash is like, "Hey, where's that janitor guy who's always in here?" And someone said, "Oh, they told him no." And Johnny Cash went and said, "Well, I ain't recording until that guy's in this room."
Wow.
Like, God damn, is that? I mean, I don't know shit about Johnny Cash, but man, I was like, all right, that guy awesome. That's solid, man. And Christopherson said his whole career was because Johnny Cash inspired him, and stories like that make you feel so good about those people who do good work and inspire others.
Yeah.
You have to feel great about that's what you have to feel great about that. So I always like Chris Christopherson. I knew Chris Christopherson as an actor because I liked him in Millennium, if you remember that movie with Cheryl Ladd, because I had read the book and the book was great, and then I watched the movie and the movie's interesting. It's
been forever since I've seen that movie. I might have to pull that one out and check that one out again.
Yeah, I forgot who. But anyway, he was in it, and Cheryl Ladd was in it, and it was a really good movie. So Christopherson was also in. Oh, there was a movie with Jane Fonda about the financial system collapsing, and I forgot the name of that.
I forgot that one, but it was Lance Henriksen in Millennium. or am I just picturing Lance Henriksen and like everything? Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up because
Here, let's run that through the IMDb.
Yeah.
Millennium.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull that one up. That reminds me, I need to.
1989. Daniel J. Travanti, yeah, Hill Street Blue fame was in it.
Oh no, here it is. There was a movie in 1996 called Millennium that Lance Henriksen was in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's why whenever that comes up, I think of that. It's because they're a movie of the same name.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's one of those names that it's common and can be reused. So
yeah. I'm on IMDb. I'm not finding that. Okay, here it is. Maybe okay, I didn't spell millennium correctly. So yeah, you're right. Cheryl Ladd. Okay. But yeah, interesting movie. That's a good one. I think I'm gonna have to pull that one out. It's been a while on that. A couple other familiar faces that are in this one.
Oh, wait, I mean,
in 1989, same year that Batman came out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
I saw that over 20 times in the movie theater.
Oh my God.
Yes, it was ridiculous. Well, there was nothing like that.
It was
to that point. It was just it completely changed superheroes in movies.
Yeah.
But
Laura Dex, yes, I have visited Italy. I love Italy. Well, I'm Greek. Greeks and Italians are the same. Well, it's so funny how even Spaniards, to a little lesser degree, but still, all those Mediterranean cultures, they're all about family and good food and just great attitude. I love my Italian friends. Obviously, although he's not Italian, is our costume designer, Claude, who's French, lives in Italy. So that's the last time I was there, and I love it. It's great. Let's see. The book was great, right? Which was also John Varley, of course, wrote the book. And there was another book, Millennium, which was Ben Bova, which I have a first edition copy on my bookshelf there, which is a great book. And that Millennium was about the early days of warfare in space. Not warfare, but the Cold War in space. That's a great book.
If you like Cold War in Space or What Ifs about that, For All Mankind is a great series to check out.
Awesome series. I just finished The Three Body Problem.
I've got that on my Netflix watch list. I've been hearing a lot about that one. So
so it's it starts really slow and then gets good. So while on the trip down, I basically Wikipedia the next. It's a series of 3 books by a Chinese author. So I basically read the synopses, and I kind of feel like, all right, we got through the best part of it. I'm probably not even interested in seeing the next couple seasons of the Three Body Problem because it gets pretty deep. It gets pretty deep into the science. I think the second book is really interesting because you get into some really big issues of kind of intelligence in the galaxy and so on and so forth.
Right.
That was really interesting. So I'm probably interested in seeing the next season, how they handle the next season. The third book was like, oh God, guys, this is so far from where we started. And not as a knock, but personally, I was like, yeah, okay, not interested. You're not interested. But that being said, it's pretty good. The first season for a science fiction fan is definitely worth it.
Okay.
And because you don't know where it's going. It does start slow. The first 3 episodes should have been basically 1 episode. So they drag it out. They drag out this suspense and then the reveal is like in episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, that could have been in episode 2. I didn't need to wait through, because I stopped the series and then I was just like, okay, too slow.
Right.
But it's because it's European. The series is produced in Europe, with great actors, including Benedict Wong, who's always great in everything he does.
He's in it good. I like him.
Yeah, he's amazing. And I want to say it's Liam Cunningham who from Game of Thrones, who's just amazing. He's amazing. So yeah, and there's some disturbing shit in it too. But yeah. So anyway, worth seeing.
Yeah.
And I don't know I don't know what else I'm watching right now. I can't bring myself to watch The Bear, which I hear is just a fantastic series, but I just have not brought myself to watch that. Oh, Scalzi, yes. John Scalzi is amazing. If you have not read Old Man's War, that series is amazing. And it's a fast read. You can read that book in 2 days. Old Man's War.
What's that one about?
So it's basically it's in the future, and we recruit people to basically genetically modify them to become Space Marines.
Okay. And
to go fight a war. And it's brilliant. It's just really great stuff. It's funny. It's interesting. It's really, really good stuff. So Scalzi is one of my favorite authors. So I highly recommend Old Man's War. I can't believe anyone would read Old Man's War and go, yeah, it was just okay. No, you're going to love it. Old Man's War. Yes, I have seen a lot of that as well, and I enjoy it.
There were some good ones on YouTube. There's a good Star Trek one that I saw last night. There was a RoboCop one that was pretty good. There's some real interesting ones that I've been seeing on YouTube. Yeah,
David, I read this. I read the World War series. I started it, and I got through. I don't know how many books it. I think it's a lot of books. And Turtle Dove's problem is he tells us too much about people we don't give a shit about. It's I don't need to know that much detail of these tertiary characters who aren't driving the story forward in a major way. It's like drive the story forward. Come on, it's this work. I mean, the premise is interesting. It's World War II, and all of a sudden the world gets invaded by aliens.
Oh, okay. Interested.
It's an interesting, So how does the world react? Very interesting.
Okay.
And now I think Turtle Dove was the one who wrote Guns of the South, which was like the first alternative history I read back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Guns of the South is basically, it's time travel, and it's Dave. We agree with you there.
I've got some Audible credits. I might have to look that. What was it called? World War. World War series by Turtle Dove.
The World War series, yeah. Good. Okay, Turtle. Yeah, Guns of the South was great. So in Guns of the South, a faction introduces machine guns to the Confederacy during the Civil War. So in order to straighten out the timeline, they send some guy back to straighten everything out.
Oh, wow.
Great premise, great book. Yeah, but Turtle Dove's his World War series just drags on interminably. And I quit it. I finally quit it after 4 or 5 books. Because I think there's like 9 books in that series.
Oh, really? Oh, that's.
Here, Scott says it was a dozen books, and
that seems a bit much.
It's like that's not an 8-book. Maybe it's a 6-book series. It's not a dozen books. That's insane.
I was thinking maybe that would be like a nice 2 or 3 book series, but that.
Now I'm also So I'm right now. I like World War II alternative history. I'm reading
Right.
Convoy. This is about the war in the Pacific. I just read. There was one about Russia, us going to war against Russia after World War II. There's here's another Robert Convoy one, which is Himmler's War, which is Hitler gets killed at the beginning of the war and Himmler takes over. What happened? So I love books like that. I love alternative history, but I don't need to read 12 books about aliens invading the Earth.
I got to highlight this one real quick.
This is the other thing. They're also. I'm sorry. You had something. I think I.
Yeah. Just real fast. It's about the Axanar After Dark, the Trek After Dark. When you're not there, it is very hard for myself, Cheeto, JP, and Alex not to get into talking about Star Trek gaming. That's just our generation. We're in that gaming generation, and it's been difficult. We try not to, and then we'll get away from it and then somehow slide back into it again. But that's a funny comment.
That's funny.
I try to keep us on track, I swear.
Yeah. No. I'm all about it. All about talking about books like this. Good.
Yeah, it sounds like good book series, but I don't know. I don't know if I could invest in a 8+ book series.
This is not alternative history. This is the funniest comic book you will ever read. Barry Ween, Boy Genius. It is raunchy, obnoxious, hysterical. It is absolutely Judd Winnick, who is a genius. This copy is I bought one year. They had these on sale at San Diego Comic-Con. I bought like 10 copies and just gave them out to my best friends and said, this is the best thing you'll ever read. So if you want to have fun, if you want to laugh, it's the type of thing where you will sit, Jefferson, you will buy this, you will sit and you will laugh your ass off. And your fiance is going to come by and go, what is so fucking funny? And you're going to be crying. You're laughing so hard.
I think I might have to check that one out.
I swear to God, if you don't say it's the best comic book you've ever read, I will pay for it. Was that 11 months ago that you adopted? We have little kitties in our bathroom right now that we're going to be putting up for adoption. I've been thinking like, we need to do adopt an Axa-Kitty campaign. So, all right. Well, listen, we are at our end time here. Jefferson, it was great seeing you again.
Yeah, great seeing you too. Thank you for inviting me this morning.
Yeah, it's fun. Everyone, thanks for stopping by on the weekend. If you weren't here in the beginning, Axanar is coming. We're in the middle of VFX. It's going to be great. We will keep you guys posted, and lots of other things happening. This is actually a big week and I can't even tell you why, but we will. There's a lot of shit that's coming out that we're going to tell you about that you'll enjoy. Okay. And and Icarus Maneuver is back up. I think I've sent it. You need to be subscribed to our newsletter, and you will get the link on the Icarus Maneuver. All right.
Excellent.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. You guys will take care. Be careful, and we'll see you. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.